Hey everyone, Jeffrey Allen here, and I'm back from quite a hiatus, and we're going to dive into a subject today that hits close to home, is one of the reasons why I have not been on video in some time, and that is depression. And we're going to look at it from a different perspective. There's going to be a series of videos, but in this video, we're going to talk about how not to burn the bridge and 5 things not to say to someone dealing with severe depression. Now that is if you want to be of support to a person and you don't want to burn that bridge. And this is going to be difficult, but bear with me, because if you keep that bridge alive, my next video we're going to talk about what you can do. We are going to be able to help that person bounce back and live a complete life once again. If that sounds like an area you'd like to explore with me, then let's go. Now, first off, what makes depression unique? Depression is not just feeling down. It's not just going through a divorce and it's a rough time, but we know why it's a rough time. Depression is often chasing ghosts. That's my favorite way of putting it. If I'm laying in bed wondering, why can I not even roll out of bed in the morning? Why can't I even go down this flight of stairs, get the dog out? Don't even want to eat, don't want to play guitar, don't want to do anything, don't want to get on camera. When just a certain period ago, like 6 months ago, a year ago, I was enthusiastic just to get up and take a leak in the morning, to hop in the shower. And that is what makes depression unique. I don't have an enemy, like let's say I have an alcohol issue. That bottle is our enemy. And if I have a client who's working through alcohol issues, then we are going to focus on that first, remove that from the equation, and then we've likely, I would say, cut into 75% of the issues that have been created. Now, with depression, we don't have that. Same thing if you go through a divorce. We know if we catch that early on, then we have the issue. We need to find a way to start dating again. We need to find a way to reconcile why the divorce went the way it did, not to take the blame, to get rid of the resentment, that kind of stuff. We have a game plan for that. With severe depression, usually we're too far down the well to the point where we do not know ourselves. The person with depression does not know how we even got there. So that is why I want to do this video on 5 things not to say so you don't burn that bridge, because the reality is, I'm guessing you are trying to figure out what went wrong just as much as the person who's going through it did. So number 1, refrain from sharing stories in which you had difficult times and you could not get out of bed for X number of days. Unless you went through a very, very difficult experience and you are willing to be 100% vulnerable, avoid this at all costs. And the reason is this: not only are you going to potentially minimize the person's situation, which is likely become very complex, at least in their mind, you're also going to start that tit for tat game. Whose situation is worse? Yours? Theirs? Well, then you tell another story, they tell a story, and now we don't want to play that game. Once that game starts, it never stops until you go your separate ways. Number 2, just push through it. We all have things we don't want to do. There are many days I don't want to get out of bed, but I just do it. Okay. So if the person gets out of bed and they still wander around an apartment all day, they wander around the house all day and just do absolutely nothing, are we really solving the problem? The answer is no. We are making progress, but by telling someone just do that and that's going to solve it, you are simplifying it to the point where it is I would say, almost disrespectful. Like, you wouldn't say that to a person who has cancer, right? You wouldn't say, just get your hair back. No, it's a little more complex than that. And if we simplify it, we will lose that person, because you are clearly then not listening to what me, the person going through it, is actually saying and how difficult this actually is. Number 3, you got to be more positive. Well, obviously, it even doesn't make sense, because if you were feeling positive or thinking positive, then you wouldn't be depressed. Number 4, comparing the person to who they once were. So saying things like, you were so energetic, and you loved to go on dates, you used to love to play basketball, you love to do whatever that is. That picture you're painting from 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, that is what the person wants back. But that is also what is just driving the person deeper into depression, wondering why they're not that same person. So when you point it out, you are hitting a soft spot, you are hitting a nerve that is just, for lack of better words, devastating to an individual going through this kind of depression. Next up, number 5. You're screwing up. You're screwing up your business. Your relationships are falling apart. You're not doing what you said you would do. You're not on time. All these "you're nots" are saying that you should be this person that, well, we know we want to be that person. A person who's depressed wants to be that person who's on time. They want to be that person who's reliable. But what we're looking at is often such a hole that, how are we going to dig ourselves out of it by just, feeling guilty and feeling that shame, which is at the center of depression. That guilt drives depression. It is one of those things that as a person lays there in bed all day, they just feel guilt. And that guilt is what keeps us from moving forward. Bonus, to wrap this up, look at all the great things you have. Look at how smart you are. Look at just what you have around you and be grateful for those. Remind yourself each day, you got this. You've been through tough things before. Well, I'm here to tell you that depression is actually tied very closely to intelligence. And that is because oftentimes we fall into depression because we have methodically thought through our situation and come to a point of hopelessness. So by saying, hey, you're smart enough, you can do it. No. What you're telling me then is that I should be able to just snap out of it. I think that's where we're going to end it today. To recap, what we don't want to do is minimize, simplify, and pretend like that person can just snap out of it. And we really don't want to make the person feel guilty. And most of all, we do not want to get angry at that person. We get frustrated and angry at that person, we will burn that bridge and they will isolate. And isolation will only drive depression further. And now you are going to be throwing out fishing lines all over the place trying to get this person back. And what I'm going to tell you tomorrow about what to do won't even work by that point in the relationship. So, hope this video helped. Great starting point if you are in this situation, and I'm also excited to be back making videos. Can't wait to do some more, and with that said, enjoy.